What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to the LessAlex podcast. If you're watching on the visuals live on YouTube, I'm LessAlex, and as you can see, I'm joined by Bird Bouchard from Red Cape Sports. Bird, how's it going, bud?
Man, it's going really well. I mean, we got game six
God, game
of the World
six.
Series, right? Game six with a
Yes.
potential game seven.
Yes.
Looks like the Rays are up 1-0 right now,
One
and
1-0, as they say in soccer.
1-0.
um,
Gotta love it.
yeah, buddy. I am excited. I'm excited. Baseball this season, kind of obviously it flew by, right? Like that's no,
Oh,
there's no
like
doubt
no
about
tomorrow.
that. But sports card wise, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think if you look at it from big picture, obviously the market is down. There's no denying that.
Hmm.
However, we'll get to some more stuff about the market in general. I'm really excited for how, the buying opportunity we have right now. We're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to talk a bit, obviously baseball, because that's the bread and butter of this podcast. But we're also going to talk potential NFL picks. We're going to talk about maybe some sleepers going into next MLB season. And then we're going to play a little bit of fact or fiction. I'm sure most of the viewers and listeners are familiar with this. It's pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But if you are watching this, I appreciate you. Make sure to smash that like button. Looks like we got about 12 people watching right now, so that's awesome. Hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on the podcast app, I appreciate you. Thank you for, there's a lot of things you could be listening to right now, so that's awesome. But make sure to give it a 5-star review. That is the most important thing. 5-star review. No 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 stars. If you don't like the podcast, just don't listen, and you can DM me and tell me how terrible my content is. Whatever. But with all that being said, I appreciate everybody. All right. With all the housekeeping out of the way, you ready?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, also, really cool, at least I think so, the overlay that I designed. That's all me. So shout out. If you need some consulting, hit me up about some. Anyway,
I
let's get
love it.
into it. Dodgers, Rays. This is kind of the matchup that we all kind of expected, right? Like the Dodgers for sure. And if you're
Oh, for
watching
sure.
this, you see I'm wearing a Dodgers hat. No, I'm not particularly a Dodgers fan, but I do want them to win. I picked them to win at the beginning of the year. Who did you have at the beginning of the year?
At the beginning of the year, I also had the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I had the Dodgers going up against the White Sox. The
Okay.
White Sox picked into so hot, but maybe next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the Dodgers and the Astros, so I was close. But Astros couldn't stave off. They almost did, but they couldn't stave off the Rays. So I'm excited. Walker Buehler's cards are kind of on fire right now, which
Mhm.
I was talking about him before the season started. Another guy who has done what I thought he would do, which is Clayton Kershaw. He's looked magnificent in the playoffs, despite his reputation. He gets a bad rap because he's had taken his lumps, we'll say, in the postseason. But are there any? And obviously Randy Arozarena, I can't even talk about baseball cards unless you mention him. What are your thoughts though? Because a lot of people, and I do mean a lot of people, you and I are actually both Cardinals fans.
Yep.
So
Don't let the
Randy,
hat fool you.
yeah, don't let the hats fool you. We're Cardinals fans. But Randy Arozarena, obviously, if you're in the know, you are very aware that he used to be a St. Louis Cardinal. Played a bit in the playoffs for us last year and towards the end of the season in 2019.
Mm.
What are your thoughts, though? Because some of the prices on his cards are, I'm in Facebook groups and stuff, and they're absolutely ludicrous, in my opinion. But
They're ridiculous.
take us through your thought process on if you feel Ronde, baby.
All right. I mean, Mitch and I were actually so passionate about this that we actually made a video on it not too long ago.
Right.
So after this, if you guys want to check that out, definitely do so.
Absolutely.
But long story short, if you want to save the 20 minutes, here's what I think.
But
I,
you should.
I think Randy
you should.
Rosarena
You should-
is.
Yeah, go for
Go
it.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say everybody should go hit that subscribe button over on Red Cape Sports.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, continue.
So no, that's exactly it. Randy Rosarena, I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he's
Right.
a hell of a ball player, and I think he's going to be a really good ball player for years to come. But I'm looking at the growth right now and what he's doing.
Yeah.
And this man has literally not even played half an MLB season in terms of regular season.
Yeah, in terms
He's
of
batting 280. That's not terrible. What gets to me right off the bat is the 11 RBIs. That's not necessarily the greatest, right?
right.
And it's almost a case of, and I don't want to necessarily use David Freese, but again, it's another case of David Freese. David Freese back in 2011,
Sure.
he absolutely went off, right? He was absolutely amazing, and he caught fire at the right time. And
If you're selling now, because profit don't mean jack
Exactly.
until it shows up at the buyer's door.
Exactly. So that's all right. You might have a card that is worth X amount of money now, but will it necessarily like it? My thing is, it's easy to hold on thinking that his card prices will go up and up and up in value. And Randy Rosarena very well likely might not continue hitting 400. It's very unlikely that he's going to continue this hot trend.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, right? Like in the playoffs right now, I believe he's batting 400 or even more.
Yeah.
Somebody fact check me on that, but that's just it. I think he's a hell of a ball player, but right now, if you're buying just because of the fear of missing out, you might be buying at the peak, and that's where I think caution when it comes to Randy.
Yeah, that's definitely not where you want to be. I'm frustrated, but I'm also intrigued on the side of the fact that I'm a Cardinals fan, because I think when was the last time the Cardinals won a trade? I mean,
Ever.
the easy answer is the Paul Goldschmidt trade. Obviously, Carson Kelly and shoot, I'm blanking on the pitcher's name right now, but Carson Kelly, the pitcher, the catcher that was supposed to be the next, Yogi Berra, basically. That's what St. Louis media hyped him up to be, at least.
Yeah.
It was Weaver? It was Weaver. Luke Weaver.
Yes, it was Luke Weaver.
Yeah, and he hasn't done too much. I mean, he's fine. He's a fine third or fourth starter, but definitely not who we thought he was going to be. Or again, the St. Louis media loves to hype up these players. But it's interesting to me, and I'm going to get off of St. Louis here in a minute. Just let me say my piece, guys, before you start turning off the show. Because you can take this, if you're in a big market, if you think that your team is in a big market, which I do believe the Cardinals, they have at least top seven cash flow in the business. So getting rid of him puts a lot of pressure, in my opinion, on John Mozeliak, which is the president of the POBO, as they like to call him, the president of baseball operations, because this is yet another. I mean, Tommy Pham, another guy that was a great player. He was a little bit outspoken. He said some things that front office and probably DeWitt did not like. The St. Louis Cardinals organization is very classic organization. They don't like people talking out much, but Tommy Pham kind of overstayed his welcome. Fans were very not happy with the way he was speaking. I love it because I love guys with swagger and can hold their own on the field and off. But he's still having a good year. The Cardinal Way, exactly. SKMBC. I hate that term. I hate that term because it's memed and it's just at this point, like what the hell is the Cardinal Way? To give up players of the caliber of Randy Arozarena, who the guy is lighting. Like, yeah, I agree. He's probably not going to be the next Mike Trout, but at the same time, he's hit 9 home runs, breaking the record in the playoffs. this guy, I mean, could you? He said, Mo said, I'm getting a little heated. I'm like getting worked up here. But John LessAlex said he saw them, and their front office saw him as a Harrison Bader, Tyler O'Neill player. Harrison Bader strikes out 30% of his at-bats and hits barely above
terrible.
the Mendoza line. He's very fast, and he's got a hell of a glove. But come on, that's a load of malarkey.
Listen, man, you know how I feel about Harrison Bader. I'll be the first person and the last person, and I will go to my grave saying, when it comes to baseball, if you hit the ball, you play. There's a reason why the Boston Red Sox put a liability out in left field in the name of Manny Ramirez.
Absolutely.
Because he could hit the ball. Harrison Bader is great, but I mean, if I'm a pitcher, I'm like, easy out, boys.
Right.
You know, and that's just it. Now, mind you, there's still a lot of time left to see what Matt Liberatore can do. Because that's who the Cardinals got back. But right now, if you are a Cardinals fan, it's quite concerning. Right. It really is. Thinking that we could have had Luke Voit, even thinking that we could have had Randy. They also got rid of Marcell Ozuna, who, in my opinion, very well likely could win the MVP. I think it will go to his teammate in Freddie Freeman. But
Freeman, for sure.
I mean, those are three great ball players that the Cardinals gave up for not too much. Now, I mean, mind you, right, Marcell walked away in free agency.
Right. But Jose Martinez was in that same deal with Tommy Pham.
I was fine with that. Yeah.
He's a lesser player. Like that's obvious. But at the same time, tell me who he's not better at the plate than any of the outfielders, including Dylan Carlson, because I am not sold on him yet. He heated up in the playoffs. I will give him that.
Yeah.
But Jose Martinez was a great guy in the clubhouse. They loved him. Obviously, Yachty and all those guys, Genesis Cabrera, all those guys loved him. And he could swing the lumber. Anyways, that's going to be enough for the St. Louis bias talk radio here on the LessAlex podcast. Also, guys, it's the 20th episode, so I appreciate every single person who's watched this, who's listened to it over the last couple months. You guys are awesome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I know I'm not really giving my shout outs like I normally do, but got sports cards, Curtis Evans, Red Cape Sports is hanging out. I guess Mitch is hanging out as well. Mark Madsen, Curtis Evans, Matt Sandinsky, Ben Norwood. Shout out to you guys, SKMDC. I appreciate you all. Brian Kingsley, how's it going? Thank you guys for hanging out, and thank you for allowing me to talk sports and sports cards basically every week. So I appreciate it. So moving on, let's talk about baseball cards. I like breaking up because, in my opinion, there are several blankets that you could put different players in. I just recently made a video, top 5 players that didn't perform well, and that's its own little niche. But so you got players that didn't perform well, players that overperformed, so players that are probably going to fall back down and probably are not, as you might even put Randy Arozarena in that list.
I personally am.
And especially Luke Voit. If you guys been rocking with the channel, been rocking with the podcast, y'all know I am not a Luke Voit fan. I think he is wildly inconsistent. Blow me up in the comments, Yankees fans. Please do. I loved seeing it. I love seeing the salt.
You know they will.
Yeah, that's no joke. And then there's guys that were hurt, right? Guys that were hurt that we just out of sight, out of mind. You're not really thinking of them. So if you could kind of, and then there's of course players that are who we thought they were, guys like Fernando Tatis, guys like Ronald Acuna Jr., who even Ronald Acuna struggled heavily at the very beginning of the season.
He underperformed at the start for sure.
Yeah. But take us through those 4. I guess let's start first since I just made the video on it. But what's like a couple of guys moving into the off season that you're going to be focusing on potentially that underperformed in baseball, in the card market?
I'm going to kind of stretch this and say that he underperformed because of injury.
Sure.
So
Oh, okay.
I
We
guess
got
it's
a
going to
two
go
for
into
one.
two categories.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Two for one.
Yeah.
And that's Ozzy Albies.
Okay.
Ozzy Albies, I believe it was a wrist injury. Basically, my entire fantasy team this season, halfway through, I had to change my name to "This Team is Injured" because everyone was injured,
I remember you telling me that.
including Ozzy Albies. Ozzy Albies, I believe, is a great young talent. And clearly, the Atlanta Braves are an up-and-coming team.
They're great.
And I've said that time and time again. But Ozzy Albies, he has a certain swag to him.
Absolutely.
And he's literally like best friends with Ronald Acuna Jr., which kind of believes only boost him up a bit too. And this is a guy who put up decent numbers in the playoffs. Now, obviously, the Braves themselves couldn't get the results that they wanted, but his card prices are, in my opinion, slightly lower than what they should be. And again, this is a guy who made the All-Star game as a rookie. I mean, the numbers are right up there.
Yeah,
I believe Ozzy Albies is a pretty good buy right now.
Yeah, he hit six dingers, 271 and a 773 OPS, all of which those numbers are under his career averages. Obviously, 6 home runs, you can't really count the counting stats. You can't hold them against players this season. But, yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, he did have that nagging injury. Basically, I mean,
he missed a lot of time. That's all
he missed quite a few games. But I mean, even still, he wasn't too far off. So I look at him as a guy who's still honing his craft, who's still up and coming, and even with the nagging injuries, he was able to hit 8 points less than his career average. Obviously, the OPS was down a bit, but when you don't have your wrists, it's hard to really put up bombs. So, yeah, I like that pick. What about guys? So I guess I will say my top guy would be, in terms of guys that underperformed, would be Frankie Lindor, 100%. I was, at the beginning of the year, I was mulling over the decision, do I put Frankie Lindor as MVP or do I pick Alex Bregman? I was actually very high on Bregman. I think he's a hell of a player. I'm not a fan. I know a lot of people do not like, for good reason, do not like the Astros, but he's a hell of a player. And if he wasn't a part of that cheating scandal, Bregman would be one of my favorite players in the MLB that aren't on the Cardinals, obviously.
Listen, he was one of my favorite players, and I enjoyed his YouTube channel from when he was an LSU Tiger.
Oh, wow.
He started that YouTube channel, and he had wiffle ball games, and just a bunch of really cool stuff. He did a sit-down interview, and I'm not trying to get too off topic here, but long story short, he did a sit-down interview with Jack Flaherty,
cool.
Lucas Giolito, and Alex Rodriguez. It was wonderful. And then when the news broke out that the Houston Astros turned into the Houston Asterix, I sold all my Astros cards.
Yeah,
and it just was what it was. People can maybe forgive, but they're not going to forget.
Never, ever. They will go
ever.
And I mean, it sucks if. I mean, I feel bad for them, but at the same time, not really. Because it's going to go to the grave. They're going to be known. It doesn't matter, and even Justin Verlander, a guy who wasn't hitting, but definitely profited from that victory, right? But yeah, he was a guy that underperformed for me. And back to Lindor, though. He hit Lindor hit, I have the stats up here for those watching. He hit 8 bombs, 258, and 750 OPS, which is not good for his standards. He dragged his OPS down well below his career OPS, well below 850, which it was close to 900 before the beginning of the season. So
that's shocking.
And he's a free agent. So this is a big thing too, is because his cards are, if you look on the graphs, on any graph, if you have any of the tools out there, I'm not going to drop names or anything, but like if you have any of the tools, or just do your own research. Before I was using any kind of tools, I was making my own graphs on Google Docs. If you guys have Google Sheets, it's a great resource. You can literally average up the week's prices on eBay. And this is what I was doing. Basically, whenever I was watching Red Cape Sports and PSA Collector, those are the two big channels that I was watching before I switched to making content about sports cards. But for like 2 months, I was doing research, mapping out my own graphs and everything. And Lindor's graph, when his non-sparkle PSA 10 got to like $400 almost, and now you can get them for right around $180. You don't think if he had, and he's in a freaking contract year. You guys know what happens in contract years. So for that reason, I think he's going to be a guy who's going to bounce back. Obviously, I could be wrong. That's obvious. Nobody can. I don't have, the little ball that tells me the future or whatever. But I think Frankie Lindor is a guy who's going to have a bounce back year, especially now that Jose Ramirez is. I mean, Jose Ramirez was already a very good player, but he showed last year that he might be the top dog out there in Cleveland. So, but yeah, all right. So that was a long-winded answer from me, and I tend to do that. I do apologize. Yeah, Bregman. So TD Sports Card says Bregman and Springer are legit. I agree. Yeah, that's the thing though with the Astros players, it's going to be a hard sell to a lot of people on whether they're investable. You know, because if you look at especially Jose Altuve, he's in the 2011 Topps Update series, the same series that Mike Trout's in. That set is going to just go up over time, so like crazy, just because the best player ever is in that set. Maybe not the best player ever. Might be
one of them.
A tad bit hyperbolic there, but at the same point, like that set's like those sealed packs are going to go up and up and up. Paul Goldschmidt from that set. I'm going off on a tangent here, but whatever. Paul Goldschmidt's in that set. I've picked up a couple Paul Goldschmidts. I think that set's super investable. So moving on. So that is players that kind of had down years. What about flip side? Guys that may have overperformed. So obviously the last like 6 months in sports cards have brought crazy prosperity and crazy spikes that basically we haven't seen since the 90s. Even I would say this is bigger. Like there's more overall money in the hobby over the last 6 months. But like who do you think was just kind of a catalyst to that? Like who kind of overperformed in your mind?
Overperforming for me. And I'm just, in terms of investing, I got to go with Trey Turner. And
okay. Yeah, I like that.
Trey Turner for me, in a shortened season, I mean, it really worked out fine for him. But this is a guy who's injury plagued.
The team was at the bottom of the division, but yeah,
right.
Individually, he did great though.
Individually, he did very well. He really did.
Yeah,
I don't have the exact numbers of what he hit. It had to have been over 330, something like that.
Yeah, it was a very
swiped
impressive.
A lot of bags. I just don't know.
There it is. 335, 12 homers, and a 982 OPS. Jesus.
That 982 OPS for a guy who's consistently, kind of getting singles and doubles and stretching things into triples, not necessarily known as a power hitter. I think those numbers are going to go down. And as he ages, stealing bags is definitely more or less going to go down.
He's already 27 too. That's one thing I don't think he definitely seems like he is a younger player, but he's been in the league since 2015.
Yeah, so he's had his chance to kind of blossom into one of those elite superstars, and certainly he's a great ball player. He really is. I mean, you look at his numbers, and he's a great ball player. But did someone say Jose Abreu? I'm reading right now in the comments.
Yeah, SKMDC. I disagree with that. I think Jose Abreu is probably.
I think he's legit.
Yeah, and my only concern with him ever has been that he's on the White Sox. That's the what do you want? I don't know. That's the second team in Chicago. And I'm not talking smack. I like the White Sox. I hate the Cubs. I'm a Cardinals fan. But it's just a fact the Cubs are the belle of the ball in Chicago. I think Jose Abreu is probably the most, until this season, I mean, he's kind of leveled out his hype versus his skill this past season. But coming into this season, I'd say he was probably the most underrated player in the MLB. One of them, at least. Top five, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy who consistently was, I mean, obviously it was a shortened season, but consistently putting up 25 plus home runs, always nearing about 300 batting average, always getting you 85 plus RBIs. That's a consistent bat in the lineup. And it wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong too, but it wasn't until really the tail end of the season where his numbers started going down. But maybe even now in the American League, you can make a strong case that he could be American League MVP as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's a strong case for it. I am kind of the mindset that WAR, as imperfect as WAR is of a stat, I do think that if you're just going by most valuable, WAR is the best stat to go by. So by that metric, Jose Ramirez would get it because he led the MLB in WAR. And I know people either love or hate WAR. I personally do love it. But there's a strong case for Jose Abreu 19 home runs. I believe he was second in the AL behind Luke Voit.
I believe he was second.
317 batting average, which is pretty much on par with his career average, which was 294. And then his OPS was almost 1,000, which, I mean, come on. With how crazy this season was, the fact that, I mean, if any player was doing better than their normals and they're already a very good player, such as Jose Abreu, I think that is definitely worth mentioning. You look at guys like Christian Yelich, who is, people were saying, there was somebody who was like, he's the best player in the baseball. I forget who it was. It was like a sports commentator or whatever. And then of course he went out and hit 205 and had like 12 home runs, which 12 home runs is like still fine, but
yeah, that's not bad.
No, I think that he's a great value. I haven't checked his prices in a couple of weeks though for Jose Abreu. But Christian Yelich is another guy who underperformed that I think I would be picking up. But in terms of guys that overperformed, I would be very hesitant on Luke Voit, you guys. Luke Voit, I've seen him. I was a fan of his. I liked him. Luke the Nuke. Like, I'm happy that he's having success. Like, I don't want to wish anyone, anybody, negative vibes. Like, that's not me. If you guys know me, I'm very positive. Except for Ryan Braun. Ryan Braun could, never, he could just go 0 for 1,000 the rest of his career, and I would be just so happy. Same thing with Brandon Phillips, but in which he doesn't play anymore. But other than those two players, I'm a fan of everybody. I want to see everybody succeed. But Luke Voit is just not it. He's been wildly inconsistent. I know over the last couple of seasons he has shown minor improvements here and there, but Luke Voit is just, that's not it. I'm not putting my money in that kind of guy. I would be personally putting my money this offseason in the blue chips, in the guys that we know who they are, the Freddie Freemans, the Fernando Tatis Jr.'s, right? Because I think Fernando Tatis Jr. is just stone cold a lock to be the face of the. I mean, he's got swagger, the bat flips, everything. He's a son of a baseball player, which I've touched on this in past episodes. I think that if you're around the game, especially the professional level, and you can, I'm talking a lot, but if you want to talk about that, I think you probably agree with that take. Like, listen, the juniors, the Bo Bichette's of the world.
There's another junior who, well, pardon me, he's not a junior, but another guy who comes from a baseball family that I've been very, very high on I've seen him play live in person a few times now, and that's Bo Bichette.
Yeah,
Bo
absolutely.
Bichette has it. I get it. I talk about bat path often, but Bo Bichette, I mean, he's got kind of like that long hair. He's got the chain. He's got a lot of swag, and his dad
Absolutely.
Dante was a hell of a ball player
He was good.
himself.
Yeah.
And Bo Bichette steals bags as well.
Mhm.
You know, he's plays that lucrative shortstop position, and I think it's really important to also mention baseball in Canada. You might think, oh well, you know, us Canadians, we only care about hockey. That's not true at all. Let me tell you, the last time that Joey Bautista bat flip
Oh yeah,
out of
Joey
the moon
Bats.
in the whole rivalry with Texas, listen, the ratings and the viewership, Canada came behind the
Oh,
Blue
that
Jays,
stadium was
and
packed when he hit that home run. Like, go back, guys,
it's
go back on
ridiculous.
YouTube and watch that video of when he hit that home run in the ALCS. That stadium was, I mean, how much that stadium's got to fit like 60,000 people, and it was
And
packed.
on top of that, I believe we got 130. It was crazy. I don't know the exact number of viewers in Canada, but at one point there was an article basically saying the entire viewership would fill up Canada about 3 times.
Wow.
So the viewership for that game was absolutely crazy. And Bo Bichette, I think, is going to be he's a double machine. I don't even think he's going to be. I think he is a double machine. And if Vladdy Guerrero Jr., who so far, in my opinion, has been extremely disappointing, if he turns around, he'll be good. And another guy, Craig Biggio. I think Craig Biggio, I mean, you got 3 former MLB baseball players' sons on the same team.
Yeah, it's incredible.
If they make a splash right now in free agency or make some trades, of course, they made tons of trades before the offseason.
Yeah.
Listen, Bo Bichette, in my opinion, and you can pick up his cards pretty cheap right now.
Pretty cheap. I think they're like
I'm a big Bo
$5
fan.
to $10 for raw.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I actually, that's funny you say Bo Bichette because before the season, I was buying his raw cards because obviously the shutdown, guys. There was no PSA. There was no graded cards of Topps 2020 Series 1. They were just literally were not available because of the shutdown. So for that reason, I literally have more Bo Bichettes than any other player still. And I've been steadily buying cards since I picked all those up and stopped buying Bo Bichettes. I'm picking up. I'm a fan. Like he's in my PC now just because I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's got swagger. I think, to your point, the fact that he Dante, and a thing too is like Dante Bichette was not the best player, but he was a solid player. And they always say, the old adage, like those that can't do teach. And the fact that, usually the superstar guys are not good coaches. I think Dante Bichette has him ready, man. I think Bo is going to be the man. Dante, Brian Kingsley says Dante can hit
actually the team's hitting advisor, not their hitting coach, but I'm pretty sure he's the team's hitting advisor.
Sure.
And that comes directly from Joe Siddle, who here in Canada, again, a former baseball coach of mine, does the broadcasting on Sportsnet for the Jays. So just a bit of inside info there.
We got Vladdy Guerrero Jr. in chat saying, "Don't give up on me, guys." You you actually have been quite critical. I've been watching, you and Mitch over at Red Cape Sports, which you guys should go tab over right now if you're watching this live. Hit that subscribe button on their channel. But
yes, appreciate it.
You guys you specifically have been pretty critical of Vladdy Jr. And I understand he hasn't necessarily lived up to the hype, lived up to everything, but I still do believe in him. I have one of his no-number PSA 10s and several of the same in raw form. I really like Vlad. I really do. I hope
it's not that I don't.
No, I just said you were like a bit more critical,
I have been, because I think the hype around Vlad, like for example, when Vlad Jr. rookie cards were coming out, there was a lot of hype behind it, and he had that first pretty good game. I think he was 0 for 2 and then hit the double, and left fielder jumped up and made a nice catch.
Yeah.
So he could have even had a better debut. But I remember he was just, there was a lot of hype surrounding him, and that's all. I think he can certainly listen. I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr., for as young as he is, 2-3 years from now, can definitely be a consistent 40 home run player, nearing 100 RBI guy, batting 300. I definitely think he can. I just think there's a mechanical issue in his swing.
Sure.
If you truly break it down from a baseball perspective, and I get it, people want to see sports cards in here about sports cards, but just me growing up in a baseball family, there is a mechanical issue, and that's why he actually hit many more ground balls this season.
Yeah, and I don't know if he'll ever be a 300 hitter, just because we've seen, about a year and a half, I guess, total of complete, actual at-bats. And his average is 260. But I do think he'll be a high RBI guy, which honestly, if you can be a high RBI guy, that's going to extend your career at the bare minimum, right? So I like him. I have cooled off on him a lot. I was extremely high on him before the season started. But guys like and I hate saying this because it's because 2020, we're looking back and we're like, obviously Fernando Tatis was absolutely just, if you bought no other baseball cards this year, and you just put all your money in Fernando Tatis Jr., you would have been rolling in dough right now. But I
listen, I just want to say real quick, December 27th of 2019, Mitch and I put out one of our first videos, and I was saying I was picking up Tatis Chrome Raw for $6.50.
Yeah.
So had you guys been a real OG and had you taken me up on that,
I was just honestly, I was just salty that he didn't sign with the Cardinals, because his dad wanted to sign with the Cardinals, but the Cardinals, in their infinite wisdom, couldn't come together on a contract over $50,000. And so he ended up signing with the White Sox.
Yep.
$50,000? Are you kidding me? John Mozeliak, fix your shit.
Listen, John Mozeliak has to go. Has to go.
It's ridiculous. We're bringing it back to Cardinals.
Earning that team. Yeah. Real quick as well, and I mainly want to get your thoughts and opinion on this.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people reaching out to me asking, what do we do about Bryce Harper? And I feel like that's a name who we haven't spoken about in months.
Yeah, I mean,
because of playoffs.
They were making a push there towards the end to try and make the playoffs. I cannot believe that they didn't make the playoffs. I thought that they were going to, with the expanded playoffs. I didn't think they were going to win the division, but I did think that the Phillies were going to make the playoffs. I mean, with that offense is just come on. And Bryce Harper, I like Bryce Harper. I know a lot of people hate him, but in terms of sports card investing, I think that's the exact type of person you want to invest in, is somebody who's polarizing, that has an opinion, that's out in the front lines, talking smack to reporters, or what, cool question, bro. But no, I think Bryce Harper is a good investment. I think that he, in a full year, he's going to give you 30 home runs. He's going to give you around 80 to he always has 100 RBIs, right? That's his thing.
Always.
So he's always going to give you 100 ribbies.
He got so much flack and so much backlash, it was the season after he signed in Philadelphia, and people basically looked at his batting average, which I believe was closer to 260.
Yeah, he hit 268 this season too.
Right, but people were just going nuts because the batting average was down. But I'm like, wait a minute, this guy, correct me on the home runs, but it was 112 RBIs that one year and more than 30 home runs.
He had 114 RBIs in 2019, 100 in 2018. Yeah. He's an RBI machine.
Exactly.
His average, he's not Mike Trout. That's my biggest. I think that's a lot of people's hang up with him because him and Trout basically
There's a lot of comparison. Yeah.
were coming up at the same time, and Trout is obviously not close the better player.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it's not. That's one thing I think a lot of hobbyists or investors, I guess, get hung up on. It's not either or. You can diversify. Now, I know I just said I wish I would have bought all Fernando Tatis, but that was, I'm just talking smack. But it's not either or. You can go in, don't overextend yourself, into money that you can't be spending. But it's not either or. You can both get. If there's two players you really like, if you like Bryce Harper, if you like Fernando Tatis Jr., go in on both of them. I really like Bryce Harper. Since day one of this channel, I've been in on Bryce Harper, or day one of talking sports cards. But no, to answer your question, yes, I like Bryce Harper. I think he's great. I don't think he's ever going to be a 300 average guy, similarly to Vlad. But he's solid defensively. And the thing I like most about Bryce Harper, he's a guy he signed like a 50-year contract. He's there for the long haul. He loves baseball. He wants to bring a championship to Philly. That is a fact.
Not to be confused with DC, right?
Man, he was on I forget the name of the podcast. It's one of the Barstool Sports baseball podcasts. But he had an interview with him, and he's like, "Oh, I forget which pitcher they signed. I forget who it was." But he was like, "Oh, they signed him? Yeah, they're winning the World Series because Juan Soto is going to take my place, and he's actually just insane. If you guys have never, and he predicted it before the season even started. He's aggressive. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about just his attitude,
passion than
anything?
Passionate, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing with that was one of my big things with the Padres. They bat flipped on the Cardinals, and I was fine with that. On that, what was it, game 3 or 4? I can't remember. But regardless, they bat flipped, and then against the Dodgers, there was that huge play by Bellinger. He robs Tatis of a home run, or no, it was Machado of a home run, and Brewster Gratterall is getting hyped. He's like, "Yeah, let's go!" And then Manny Machado comes out of the dugout talking smack. You can't celebrate. Okay, I love the fact that we have bat flips. I love the fact that we have pitchers yelling "F yeah" into their glove and getting hyped and dapping each other up as they walk into the dugout and stuff. But you can't play both sides. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. You can't bat flip on the Cardinals one series because you just tied the series or whatever, and they didn't win. That wasn't the game that they won the series. That was the game they tied the series. And then the next series be, pissing and moaning, for lack of a better term, that Brewster Gratterall is getting hyped. It's just that's a double standard. That's nonsense. That's garbage. But yeah, no, I mean,
so many unwritten rules.
So many unwritten rules. And I love the fact that he swung on 3-0 with up by 40 runs. I love that.
Who cares, man? Listen, I've been to hockey games that my brother played in, and they were getting pumped 28-2. And it wasn't even close.
That's a football
I've been
score.
to high school football games that have been literally 82, 87-7. It was basically charity's work just to give the other team a touchdown, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So, if we can do this stuff at high school levels, but if we have issues at the professional level, it's.
See, I think in high school you shouldn't.
I mean, Ohio State football, right? They just beat Nebraska and they covered the spread, and they were up big, and they took a touchdown with 18 seconds left, and head coach Ryan Day ended up giving an apology, and at the end of the game,
exactly,
Scott Frost basically said, "Listen, don't apologize. If we want the score to be different, we need to play better."
Right.
And I couldn't agree more with that. I think we have an issue with, man, there's so many divas in sports. Just play better.
Yeah, if you don't like it, play better. Exactly. And that is it. Because the cream is going to rise to the top as Macho Man Randy Savage used to say. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's up, Got Sports Cards? How's it going? Thanks for hanging out, guys. I know we're not responding nearly as much as I usually do. This is kind of a more structured episode. Structured, unstructured. But, yeah, I appreciate everybody for hanging out. Looks like we got 14 in chat now. If you guys could, hit that like button. You guys don't understand how much just hitting the like button helps a YouTube video. It gets it caught in the algorithm, and it pushes it to more and more people, and then I get to make more and more awesome content for everyone. But, yeah, I'm here with Bird from Red Cape. Is there anything you wanted to talk about sports card-wise? I know we've been talking a lot baseball. Chat, if you guys have anything you want to talk about that's relevant.
I mean, I like that, right? Like, let the viewers almost decide. Yeah. I can talk about almost anything. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's probably hard to make me stop talking.
Yeah, we've got, and I feel like having you on is so awesome too, because I feel like between us two, now I'm not saying I'm a master. I mean, baseball is definitely my go-to. That is my bread and butter. That's what I know. That's what I study. That's what I love. I'm a baseball statistic nerd. But I feel like with you and I, you pick up where I'm lacking, and I pick up, and kind of vice versa. So we kind of cover not everything.
Kuzma.
If you ask me about like water polo, I wouldn't know, but I know Mitch is always like, gotta get those water polo cards. Kyle Kuzma, man, Lakers Nation. I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a LeBron James fan. You all know that, but I like Kyle Kuzma. LA loves Kyle Kuzma. He is one of the few remaining players pre-LeBron regime that's still left in that space on that team. So I mean, what do you think about Kyle Kuzma and his cards? I haven't looked though. Are his cards like they have to be dropping? They're
cheap,
right?
Dude. They're so cheap. Kyle Kuzma cards are very cheap. And I believe I said on a personal live stream before, while his card prices are cheap, I truthfully feel like there are better investments that you can make out there. At the end of the day, is he playing for the Lakers? Yes. Is he their third option? Yes. Maybe. But I seriously feel like being that third, fourth option, right? And that's kind of what I was getting to. I feel like you can almost make a case that he's actually their fourth option. And in that case, it was exactly that, right? So many different YouTubers and maybe even other sports card advisors may have said, hey, buy Kuzma's cards for $2 and it might double because it's so cheap. Mm-hmm. But it didn't necessarily do that. And he was on the team that won an NBA championship. So
yeah, we were kind of
I just don't see it.
We were in uncharted waters too. We didn't really know what was going to happen after, because honestly, what I thought was going to happen after Giannis wins MVP, I thought we were going to see a short-term spike. Obviously, in the offseason, everything's going to fall, relatively speaking. Yep. It'll never go back. You'll never see a $20 raw Giannis card. That'll just never happen again. But I thought that once the championship, whoever wins the championship is crowned, those cards of those players were going to go up a bit, not spike crazy like Bull or anything, but I thought they were going to go up. I thought everybody on the team that had a major role, and I do think Kuzma had somewhat of a major role. He's a role player, but let's be honest, if your name isn't Anthony Davis or LeBron James, you're a role player on that team. So I thought that Kuzma was going to spike. Obviously, Giannis wins the MVP, regular season MVP. His card prices dropped the day that announcement went live.
Yep.
We were on uncharted waters. So, and then I was like, oh, okay, so that's definitely not going to happen. Like, if Giannis winning MVP is going to actually make his cards drop, and obviously it wasn't because he dropped, or it wasn't because he won, it was because he was no longer in the bubble. So I was like, oh, okay, so Kuzma is probably not the best pick, and I have like 5 or 6 of his cards now. But I still think he's a good player, and I do think that he is a good, maybe not long-term hold, but like at least till next year, because again, the dude is one of the most liked players on that team. Young people love Kyle Kuzma, like younger, kids. So for that reason, I like him still. KD and Kyrie. You got two of the most polarizing basketball players ever. I respect Kevin Durant's game. He is definitely one of the best players, but he is, as much as LeBron gets called a diva, like, holy smokes, this guy's got burner account after burner account responding to people on Twitter. This guy's he has, 16 million followers on Twitter or whatever it is. I don't actually know.
Yep.
He's responding to somebody with 32, bro, what's the saying? Lions don't sleep, or wolves don't sleep over the opinions of sheep. He's like out of season talking about how he earned his championship ring. No one asked. Who the hell asked? He's like, they're about to play Game 7, and I see on my Twitter feed, ESPN, SportsCenter, or whatever, I earned my championship ring. Like, bro, no one cares.
No, I saw the exact same article, and I couldn't help but laugh because I was actually one of the select few fans who almost defended him for going to an already NBA championship caliber team.
Hear that? That's the sound. That's the sound whenever he speaks.
I didn't call him a snake, and I still wouldn't call him a snake because he did what almost any other free agent would do and pick the team that gives them the best option of winning. We see it time and time again in almost any single sport.
Yeah.
And I mean, mind you, he was a major part in helping them get back to the championship.
Absolutely.
Mind you.
And of course, J.R. Smith helped him the most, though.
Listen, J.R. Smith, what he got? Five rings or something like that? And he's shirtless all the time?
Man.
If you want to invest in a guy, invest in him. No,
and he beat up some guy. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
So they were during the protests or whatever, he beat up somebody because somebody was trying to jack his car up, and he beat him out, and then went to Twitter and was like, "Look, I did this because the guy was messing with my car." I thought it was hilarious. Shout out to J.R. Smith. That dude is a legend.
He is a legend. Well, wasn't he at one point? Wasn't J.R. Smith in the slam dunk contest back when he was a Nugget?
Sure. Maybe, probably.
Anyway.
He probably had his shirt off, with a bottle of Henny. Yeah.
He's a legend. Of course, I'm not saying he's ever going to make the Hall of Fame, but if he does, I want them to make a bust that's even lower. And just take the shirt off. That's how we know him, right?
Yeah. No.
The NBA is just going to be shirts and skins from now on.
The Trials and Tribulations of J.R. Smith. That would be the name of his autobiography.
KD is Hall of Fame. I see that comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Not close.
I agree with that. Kyrie, I would argue no.
So here's my thing with Kyrie. No. Obviously, he says a lot of controversial stuff. The earth is flat. I mean, he and KD are, what did he say? KD, for the first time in his career, he's finally got somebody he trusts to close games.
Disrespectful.
Disrespect? Shut your mouth. What in the world? Do you not remember the year that they won the year that they lost the championship, the Cavs?
Yep.
They played the Bulls. I believe it was in the second round. It was Derrick Rose hit that big game winner. And then the very next night, LeBron James put one up from the parking lot and just ended their entire careers.
Yep.
Bro, LeBron is if you statistically look at it, he is one of the most clutch, with a minute left in a game, at the end of a game, in the postseason, he's one of the most clutch to do it.
Oh, for sure.
Kobe, rest in peace. He wasn't nearly on the same level as Mike, and Mike wasn't on the same level as LeBron. With that being said, taking this back to him, what was Kyrie Irving before LeBron James, and what has he been after? That's
I
all I'm
think you
really going to
nailed it
say
just
about
by
that.
saying that. It is what it is. Kyrie Irving's a good player. Nothing to
He
take
is a
away
very
from
good
him.
player, and
But
it has the best handles in the NBA, in my opinion.
I still don't even think Brooklyn, with all the moves that they made, are going to even make it to the conference finals. I really don't.
Oh,
I don't.
I mean,
We all thought that, or not we all, because we both thought that the Lakers were going to win it.
I
But
said,
there were so many people thinking that it would be the Clippers. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. There's still a man by the name of LeBron James. And prior to his injury, I mean, this man, he's almost guaranteed to make the finals.
Yeah.
So that's just that. And I don't think Brooklyn, there's a lot of good teams right
There
now
are.
in that conference.
And a lot of teams that are getting better, I think, too.
And I think there's something to be said about teams on paper versus team in real life. And team on paper is always, it looks good right now for Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I don't think they're there.
I saw in the comment section of an Instagram post, and these are very dicey waters. I suggest never looking at the comments on Twitter, especially on Twitter, but even on Instagram. It was a post of them collabing on a shoe. They're apparently they're both signed by Nike. Kyrie and KD are both signed by Nike. They're going to collab on a shoe. They're going to make a shoe. That's fine. That's hunky-dory, whatever.
Yeah.
But somebody in the comments section brought up a really good point, and I think there might be some truth to it. And the person, I don't know who it was like nobody famous or anything, but they said, man, they are trying so hard to make it look like they're best friends, like LeBron and Anthony Davis actually are.
Yep.
So, I mean, we'll see. I think that I disagree. I think the Nets will be very good. I think Karis LeVert is very strong player. He's a very good shooter. And I think that the combination of their new coaches are going to be very good.
So you think they got
Steve
enough
Nash.
talent to make the conference finals?
I think it's possible. I don't know if it's going to happen.
That's all I'm saying. I do think that they'll be good, but I don't necessarily think that they'll make the conference finals.
I mean, we haven't even done free agency. We haven't even done the draft yet. So I'm going to reserve my hot takes and picks. And I did pick the Lakers before the season before the bubble restarted. Me, PSA Collector, and the Hobby Box were on PSA Collectors. It was about a month before the season was about to reboot. And they're like, oh, they just released the schedules or whatever. And in the first game, it was Clippers versus Lakers in the very first game coming back. I think it was the second, actually, because, of course, Zion was the first game. And Boris asked, who do you got in this game? I say, Lakers are going to crush them. And then I kind of interrupted him because he was starting to talk to Matt. And I was like, Lakers are going to win the NBA championship. You heard it here first. And boom! What up, world? It happened. But no, in terms of Kyrie, I like him. I think his prices are obviously going down as all basketball basically. So I think there is a buying opportunity there. I think that Market Memory will get his Prism rookie cards back up to where they should be. I also think that they're going to be playing very well and they're going to make the playoffs. So I think with all of that combined, you can make a good profit if you're buying Kyrie. KD, though, I haven't checked his price as much, but I think they'd probably be a lot higher. I was buying KD's the white tops one. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
I mean, those were dirt cheap. They were like $20, and then I sold them for $50, $60. So I don't have any more KDs. I don't own any Kyries right now, but I'm looking.
Same.
It's all about finding the deals, guys. It really is. eBay obviously is the biggest marketplace.
Yeah.
I would suggest with that, not always going shooting from the hip and buy it now. Always make an offer if you have the opportunity. I would actually suggest not even buying from sellers that don't offer having the option to make offers. But also try and snipe. I'm up late. I'm up late, I'm up 2 a.m. on eBay trying to find deals, and that's really, really when you can find a deal. And if you're not buying domestic, if you're buying from Canada even, you can find some deals, although Canada is a bit different because it's generally the same time zone. So, but if you're buying from across seas, you can find some really good deals because what their, 5 p.m. there is, that's nighttime for us. So we got some Let's Go Rays TC Thunder iOS. I appreciate it. I appreciate that take. I hope they win tonight, honestly. I don't know the score. You got to update us on the score.
I think it's 1-0 now, right now.
1-0 Rays?
Yeah, it's 1-0 Tampa Bay, top of 4.
How did Arozarena hit another one?
No, it's just 1-0, but he did hit a home run.
Oh, he did? In this one?
Yeah, he did.
He's got 10 home runs in the postseason?
Yeah,
oh, man, that is great. No, I hope they win tonight, but I do. I'm not a Dodgers fan. Despite this, my favorite color is blue, despite the fact that I bleed cardinal red. And this is like LessAlex. I thought that was cheeky and corny and cute to do that. So Randy hit another dinger. Yeah, that's incredible, man. And somebody on Twitter, again, never read the Twitter comments, but somebody was like, yeah, but the way that the playoffs are structured, he had more opportunities. False. He actually did it in less ABs than Barry Bonds did it. So, interesting stuff. Stuff.
Good thing I have his. Listen, anyone who does have his rookie card, you guys have done well. But if you guys basically missed the start of the show, I would just recommend if out of the fear of missing out,
FOMO,
I think maybe like if you don't have a Randy Arozarena rookie card now, maybe wait at least until the off season or next year if you really want to pick one up. That's all.
Yeah. Curtis, Victor, I don't think that matters. It's a style thing, and yeah, who cares? Get over it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Red Sox fan. I just went to Fenway.
We're actually, that's funny because we're both Cardinals fans and we're literally wearing probably some of our biggest like postseason. Like the Cardinals have struggled in the postseason against the Dodgers and obviously the Red Sox
for sure.
them.
Colton Wong getting picked off in the World Series.
I felt so bad for him when that happened because his mom had just passed away.
Man, it's his fault. I don't feel bad for him.
No, I feel bad for him.
I got some resentment.
I hope they re-sign him, too. I hope they pick up his option.
He's a stud.
He's so good.
I just hope I will almost like pay them to get rid of Harrison Bader. I'm serious. Yeah. I'm so done.
Yeah. Okay,
the guy couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah, no, he's a garbage. And I have been a Harrison Bader defender because
jeez.
No, I have been, and not anymore. He struck out 5 times in a playoff game, bro, and then started the next day.
What is that? A mega golden sombrero?
Something like that. I saw. Did you see that post?
Sombrero?
Did you see that on Twitter? Somebody said that. It was like, what do you even call that? It's like a platinum sombrero.
You call it a demotion.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna do fact or fiction. You guys probably know this. It's on, sports talk radio and stuff. At least in St. Louis, it is. So fact or fiction, I say something that you can either take as fact or fiction.
Sure.
Fact or fiction: the Dodgers win the 2020 World Series.
Fact. I'm still going with fact. I think they have a chip on their shoulder. They want to show that back in 2017 that they were the better team than the Houston Astros. And I still got to go Dodgers. And petition to get it changed to the Houston Astros would be great as well.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, chat, feel free to chime in. Feel free to chime in. That is definitely encouraged.
We got one fact and one fiction so far.
One fact, one fiction. I agree. I think I'm going to say fact. I mean, I don't think I am going to say fact on this one. I think whether it's tonight or tomorrow, it just seems that the Rays don't have the firepower to get the job done. They won kind of on a fluke. Obviously, that was the most exciting game I've ever seen. I would just want to say this. That was one of the most exciting World Series games I've ever seen. The end of that game, the last 3 to
that ending was
10 minutes.
Painful to watch.
Randy Arozarena's at-bat was one of the best at-bats I think I've ever seen. You got Gagne and Bonds. That one was incredible from back in the day. I think it was like 2002 maybe, 2001 maybe. But yeah, no, that at bat was great. Ended in a walk, I believe. Rosarena gets on. Obviously, they had that crazy play where center fielder botched the ball, and then it was, the catcher couldn't field it correctly and actually apply the tag. Or Rosarena scores. The crowd goes wild.
And Jansen, I think that's something that people aren't even mentioning. Fundamentals of baseball.
Oh yeah, he didn't get behind. He didn't back
Jansen
up
didn't even back up the throw, and had he backed up the throw,
it would have been out.
Potentially Randy Rosarena goes back to third. There was 3 errors or fundamental errors on that one play.
Yeah, heads up. Kind of heads up, but also he was going to get run out. I mean, Rosarena would have got rung out
for sure.
But he kind of made a mistake, but he corrected it on the fly. So I, tip of the cap to him for that one. Yep. They're going against Kershaw and Buehler tomorrow if necessary. Good luck. Yeah, no, I agree. Buehler has been
they'll split that.
Killing it. Buehler has been killing it. Obviously, I just kind of shared my thoughts. I think that Kershaw, I don't care what he did. I don't care what he's done in the playoffs in the past. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, if they do win, it's going to cement him as the best pitcher of his generation, and there won't even be an argument.
Couldn't agree more, right? As the saying goes, it's like, put the yearbook away. Let's focus on now. And Clayton Kershaw has been a stud.
Remember when remember when teams feared Canley Jensen?
That's no, good. I don't. I really don't.
Okay, so Fact or Fiction number 2. Fact or Fiction this season should have an asterisk next to it.
No, I mean, everyone played except the Cardinals, but everyone played 60.
I will say fiction as well. So, chat, Fact or Fiction, we should have an asterisk this year. I've had actually a lot of people in my comment sections and stuff saying, there needs to be some kind of annotation.
I don't think so.
But I disagree. We all started from the same place. It's ending in the same place. I will say, though, and you tell me if you agree, we can't judge the players that had poor seasons too harshly. Flip side of that, though, you can't get too excited about players that had excellent years. Like Trevor Bauer is a great pitcher, but had this season not gone been shortened and everything, would he have had the same season? I don't know. He's going to get paid. We know that because he was in a contract year. So,
really,
yeah, no, just a short season. Fiction. So everybody basically agrees fiction. I think that is the correct take. Walker Buehler is Walker Buehler a good investment? I don't think right now, and here's why. His cards are spiking heavy right now. I think long term he's going to be a good investment, but I think you should wait. The prices will drop after the season, whether they win or lose. His prices will drop, but right now, no. But after the season, start paying attention to his prices, boys sports cards, because they're going to go down. If you don't have like any of the software out there that tracks the cards for you, again, Google Sheets is your best friend. You can make a little chart and kind of just track it yourself. It's great. It's what I did. Bauer is good. No, I agree. TD Sports Cards. Bauer's very good. He had a complete game shutout in a 7-inning game. So it actually did not count for a shutout because, or a complete game rather, because you like in the rule book it says you have to pitch 9 innings. Sold a Buehler Chrome last night. Yeah, I think right now is the time to be selling these players, with the exception of Clayton Kershaw. I think everybody else, if they're up, if they're spiking, if they're high because of their performance in the World Series, Randy Arozarena, Walker Buehler, Corey Seager, all these guys. I think Brandon Lau. I think it's time to sell, except for Kershaw, because Kershaw is a lot. He could have retired 2 seasons ago and been a lock for the Hall of Fame. Yeah. After Game 7, if necessary, it's going to be the time to get basketball and base. Oh, so that's a decent topic. kind of cutting
Yeah,
into our fact or fiction. But like when, so this is something I've been talking with a lot of people. I don't think we've actually talked about it yet, but might as well talk about it now. When do you think will be the correct time to buy baseball and basketball?
baseball, probably February. That's typically speaking
That's when
when
it
I do mine.
usually is. But I'm worried that there's gonna be people that are trying to get ahead of the curve, per se.
I don't necessarily think so, and in a weird way, it kind of depends on what content creators say too. I think there's a lot of, and of course, it's not to be disrespectful, of course, but there's a lot of people who just follow advice like it's crazy here.
Do your own research.
Exactly, do your own research. I can say February, but the reality is I can say February, but maybe the specific players that I'm picking up might be a different month. It's really tough to say. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. And if anyone does tell you they know exactly what's going to happen,
it's BS.
But it's interesting that TC Thunder iOS kind of mentioned, basketball, because basketball, there's a lot of talk right now that they're going to come back
December
on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's less than 2 months out right now. As of right now, that's less than 2 months out, and that's probably going to be your next hot sport. I mean, obviously,
I mean, basketball is
through the roof now too. But
yeah, it was funny. I saw somebody on the Lakers, maybe it was JaVale McGee. I don't know if it was JaVale McGee, but somebody said if we come back in December, LeBron ain't coming back.
No, actually, it was
that?
shoot, I saw that last night too.
Yeah.
It was a bigger name. I don't necessarily think it was McGee.
Dwight? Was it Dwight?
It could have even been Kuzma, dude.
I don't think it was Kuzma. But it's just funny because I was like, damn,
I'm gonna
bro.
Google that now.
You are getting traded like tomorrow because you said that. GM LeBron's going to come in with his suit and just like crush you. Let's see. I'm already seeing cards I researched getting picked up. Yeah. That's the thing. Pay attention. Do your research. Pay attention. As soon as the start,
Danny Green.
As soon as that line starts ticking up the other way, you better get on it, because especially with basketball.
It was Danny Green who said that.
Danny
by the
Green.
way.
Oh my God.
Danny Green. So
man.
Chris Sale, PSA. Chris Sale's another guy who's kind of been under the radar for the last little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, fact or fiction, the Lakers are going to repeat next season. Chat, feel free. The Lakers are going to repeat.
Do I have to give an answer? that's a tough one.
It's a long time away.
I'm going to go.
We're not going to hold it against you, but it is going to be on the internet forever.
I'm going to go fiction, but the only reason why I'm saying that is when you look at the history of sports and how many teams repeat, it's really tough to do. 90% of me wants to say fact, but I'm going to go with fiction.
Yeah, I'm going to say just going by the statistics, just going with the numbers. I disagree, TC Thunder. It's not big fiction. It is fiction, though. It's going to be hard. The Warriors are going to be back. They're getting like a top 5 pick, which is absolutely ridiculous. They're going to be good. Yeah. The Warriors are going to be really good, I think. Andrew Wiggins, I think, is going to serve a purpose there. Probably that he hasn't had ever in his career, because he has always been, or at least everywhere he's been, they've kind of wanted him to be the man. In Golden State for the Warriors, he's not going to have to be the man.
Yeah.
Fiction, because AD is going to get more money than he actually was getting paid. Teams cap. All right, yeah.
Now, mind you, the cap's not going down though. As per a recent report yesterday.
How many times has LeBron repeated? He's repeated once.
Fiction, with Miami. That was the only time he repeated, I believe.
You think Giannis is getting traded to Golden State? Holy hell.
No. I've seen a lot of rumors to the Mavs. I know Giannis and Mark Cuban's kind of trying to pull for Giannis a lot. And there's been a lot of like legitimate talks of that happening. But if anything, if I had to say fact or fiction is Giannis getting traded, I would even go with fiction and say he remains in Milwaukee.
It's going to be hard, I think. Actually, fact or fiction, Giannis. Yeah, so you would say fact to that, Giannis stays in.
I would say fact, he stays in Milwaukee. Yeah.
I'd say, so are you talking about for this season? So there's rumors that he's going to be traded, but his contract isn't up until the 2022 season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not a free agent this year, this offseason.
Okay.
I highly, so fact or fiction, he re-signs with the Bucks. I think fiction. I think it is going to be a hard sell to bring players
to Milwaukee.
The only reason LeBron James is able to do it for Cleveland is because he's LeBron James.
Yeah.
Giannis is great, but
I mean, I will say this too, and even Stephen A. Smith, the last championship that LeBron won in Cleveland, he had no supporting cast, little to nothing. And there was one point where Stephen A. Smith was basically saying like LeBron's toast, he's done, because I believe they went down 1-0.
Washed King.
Yeah, they went down, and then out of nowhere, LeBron just turned into Megatron LeBron and
Megatron LeBron. So. I love it.
See, so now we see the comments just kind of backing up what I was saying of Giannis potentially going to the Mavs. There's a lot of rumors, and again, I am a Dallas Mavericks fan. The fact that they got Luka just added to it, but I am a Mavs fan. Could you imagine though, Giannis and Luka just tearing up the league? I mean,
and Kristaps. I would
imagine Kristaps would be
a part of the deal.
A pawn, right? Part of the deal. But if they put together a big three in that regard, that's going to be something else.
Yeah, subtle flex, right? Yeah, I don't think there's any shot he can get supermax players to Milwaukee. There's and in today's in today's NBA, you have to have a duo. You know, we lived through the big 3 days, you know, with Boston and Miami and Golden State. Now we're living in the era of the duos, thanks to, I mean, shout out to Kawhi Leonard too. He really did reset the balance. He kind of like Thanos snapped the NBA back into a sense of normalcy. And for the first time, I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen now, because I thought he was going to go to the Lakers and the Lakers were just going to win 18 championships in a row. Yeah. And but no, he didn't do that. And then he gets bounced from the playoffs like he deserved. I'm joking, kind of.
I mean, he still played out of his mind in those playoffs.
Until that last game in the fourth quarter, he scored like 2 points. Could you imagine if LeBron ever did that? He'd be ripped to shreds and everybody would be talking how he's a washed game, he's terrible, he's garbage.
LeBron gets ridiculed for no reason, and I truly think when it's all said and done, people are maybe going to take a step back and realize, you know what?
Damn.
We just let one of the generation's greatest player go to waste. Like, we live in the moment and just appreciate LeBron for what he's worth. And, you know, aside from all his sports, this is a guy who's been with the same woman and hasn't had issues in that regard.
Off the court incidents.
The off court, right? And it's LeBron words himself, and not even me. LeBron said, when I die, I don't want people to remember me for a basketball player. I want people to remember LeBron James for the off court player.
Right, and the humanitarian, basically.
So I mean, that's just it. I mean, I'm nowhere near as big as a super fan as you are, or even maybe your daughter.
Oh man, she loves LeBron.
Trying to pull him out of some absolute
yeah, we're open. So for those that didn't see that little I don't know what I think I posted it on. Oh, I think I actually did post it on YouTube. But anyway, It was like a 3-minute video. We were cracking packs with my daughter, and we were opening some Donruss football, and she's like, I want to pull LeBron James. But no, it was funny. But no, kind of getting off the topic of LeBron here for a minute. But I agree. I think when it's all said and done, you know, haters are going to be able to appreciate what he did. and who he was as a person. But anyway, no, I'm excited. So, fact or fiction? What should do you have a fact or fiction for me potentially?
Okay.
I'm kind of coming off the dome here.
Let's see.
If chat has any.
All right. Fact or fiction?
All right. Oh, here we go. This is good.
Austin Meadows recovers and becomes a good buy.
Fact. Fact. I love it. Good fact or fiction. Chat, feel free to jump in fact or fiction with us. Austin Meadows hit 33 bombs, I believe close to 100 ribbies, and hit his OPS was like 900 in 2019. 2020, beginning of the season, he comes down with the sickness. We're not going to say the C word because you get demonetized sometimes. But
Really?
He gets down with the sickness. And that's terrible. But so the biggest thing for athletes, I think, more so than everybody else, it's almost they're going to recover because they're in physical shape, but it's the fatigue that lasts for months. And seeing as the season only lasts 3 or 4 months, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He could have very well been having lingering side effects from his bout with it. So I think, he didn't play well. I'm not going to try and defend him this season. He did not play well. I'm trying to bring him up here on the old baseball reference. So he hit 205. Nice Mendoza line, bro.
Ouch.
Only four home runs, and his OPS was 667. That is hot garbage compared to his usual 20 home runs, hits 280-ish, and hits close to 900 OPS. But I do think he's going to bounce back. Obviously, I could be wrong, and this is, you were very high on him too.
I still am, yeah.
Yeah, no, I am too. But this is agree or disagree, this is one of the more risky picks I've made for sure. I don't know about you, but because at the end of the day, he doesn't have a track record. It's kind of like Big Meat Pete, good old Polar Bear. I included thought Polar Bear was going to have. He had one of the best hard hit ball percentage. Polar Bear did.
Yep.
But kind of in the same vein, there's just no track record other than the one season. So this is, in my opinion, one of the more risky picks. But I do believe, he will come back. His prices will rise. I have a pink refractor PSA 10, beautiful looking. I love pink refractors. If you guys ever, I get people. I'm sure you guys over there at Red Cape Sports do too. Have viewers that want to send you stuff. If you guys ever want to send me anything, if you're really trying to wow me, send me a pink refractor. I'll give you a shout out. I'm not saying to do that, but if you want to do something like that, I love pink refractors. They're so dope.
For sure. I will say this though. At the start of the season, I was actually saying that Pete Alonso would struggle this season, and that's another kind of prediction that I was right on, at least on Red Cave Sports. And the reason why I said that was in a shortened season for, how do I put this? I'm not comparing him to Chris Davis any way, shape, or form, but in the sense of power and strikeout rate, and Pete Alonso has a very, very, very high strikeout rate in a shortened season, the recipes for success, at least in my opinion, didn't add up. Because if think about it, if you hit a slump for 2 weeks, that's a majority of your season. That's a lot of games. And that's exactly what I thought would happen with Polar Bear Pete, and it did. So
no, that's fair. And that's
the predictions, at least on the baseball side here at Red Cape Sports, have been not too shabby, to say the least.
Pretty decent.
Pretty decent.
TD Sports Cards. No, I'm saying I'm agreeing that. So you say disagree. ... I've been buying more Meadows Chrome lately. We are on the same page. I agree. Yep. Austin Meadows is a good buy at his current price. In fact, he was in my most recent video of 5 players you should be, or not you should be, but 5 players I'm buying that had down years, a down year in 2020. So Yeah. Fact or fiction?
Austin Riley.
Austin Riley.
I think he'll be an all-star. Austin Riley for the Braves, or
Yeah.
he was for the Braves.
Yeah.
Although, I can literally see Detroit from my bedroom window, and I am telling you right now, Detroit Tigers are a hot mess. They are dumpster fire. They are garbage.
Oh,
I'm
man.
surprised they won 20 games this season.
Oh, man.
Austin Riley.
The levels of disrespect right now.
No, it's not even level of disrespect. It is level of pure accuracy. How poor of an organized baseball team. I'm shocked people pay for tickets. They're bad. So Austin Riley is definitely going to help them. I honestly, not even because he's your cousin, I like Austin Riley, and I know a lot of guys who do. I think he can definitely be an all-star.
Yeah, I think he's good. I agree.
A soft backhand.
A soft backhand. So
hey, that's not because of him though.
Switching gears as we kind of come towards the end of this one. We've been doing this for about an hour and 30. But fact or fiction, and we're going to switch gears over to hockey because I know.
Ooh, let's go.
Fact or fiction, Alexis Lafreniere leads them to at least leads the New York Rangers to at least one cup.
Oh, in his career?
Yeah.
Man, I'm under the impression that the Rangers will never win a cup, but I'm gonna go with fact. I mean, that's my team, and when I'm trying to look at this objectively, I go, okay, well, you still got Vitaly Kravtsov, who's currently killing it in the KHL, and I know most of your viewers might not know who these guys are.
Yeah.
You still got Keandre Miller on the point. Brendan Schneider was a phenomenal draft pick, trading up to grab him. The defense is just gone crazy. Now they are lacking that true centerman, but Alexis Lafreniere is, dude, I'm not kidding. Like, all bias aside, the reason why I was so happy that the Rangers drafted him. This is literally, if you look at what he's done in the QMJHL, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, he is literally done better than Sidney Crosby. The only difference is he's done it from the left wing, which, arguably speaking, is even harder to do.
Wow. So he's the GOAT. He's going to be the GOAT.
200-point seasons is no joke.
Wow.
200-point seasons, man. Alexis Lafreniere is literally the next Sidney Crosby. And the thing is, if you could have purchased Sidney Crosby's Young Gun when it first came out,
yeah,
you're joking. And I'm telling you, he is so good. I have had the chance to watch him play live in person even, and Alexis Lafreniere is incredible. And again, he's on the wing, so you can very well likely match him up with a guy like Mika Zibanejad. And
yeah,
I'm just telling everyone, I've said it here, I'm likely going to beat you all to it, but if his Young Gun comes out under $100, it's a good investment. Do not be. The one thing I don't want to see is YouTube videos saying, I can't believe his card is $100. Oh my goodness, he hasn't played. Yeah. Because when Joe Burrow's card came out and his Mosaic was $1,000, that was ridiculous. But if Alexis Lafreniere Young Gun comes out to be $100, that's a good buy. I genuinely feel that.
Abby says, you both are wearing hats with your initials. I dig it.
I dig it. And also, you got to plug Abby's YouTube channel as well.
Yeah,
she makes
everybody.
Some beautiful stuff.
Yeah. Go check out Abby Berta. Click on her name. Yeah, that's the baby mama right there. Check her stuff out. She does good stuff. Yarn, beads, jewelry, cheap DIY. Go check it out. Anyways, all right, last fact or fiction, then we're going to call it a show. We're going to call it a day. Fact or fiction, the SEC is a better conference than the Big Ten.
You stop that. You stop that. You stop that. It looks like you were creeping my Twitter account with that one.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I do
And
research before I go on these. Man.
Twitter does not allow me to. They don't allow me to go past whatever 160 characters.
160, whatever.
Sure. All bias aside, the bottom half.
All bias aside.
No, all bias aside, like the bottom half of the Big Ten would wipe the floor with the bottom half and maybe even the mid-tier teams in the SEC. So people look at the top teams, right? So you got Alabama, you got LSU, maybe not this season, and you got Georgia as your power teams. The Big Ten, okay, you got Ohio State, and then immediately it starts to dwindle a bit, right? You got Penn State, you got the team up north. I won't say them. You got Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's going to struggle because they just got COVID. I mean, pardon me, the C word.
Rip.
But
yeah.
If you look at it, here's the thing, right? If you look at all those teams, Minnesota's kind of middle of pack. But Minnesota, I can guarantee you, would absolutely wipe the floor with Missouri, with South Carolina, with Vanderbilt. Like the bottom half of the SEC is straight garbage.
Hot trash,
right?
Man, I know too because I live
the Big Ten knows
St.
what
Louis.
Defense is.
You know, Missouri. That's all I hear anybody talking about around here is like Missouri, Mizzou, and like they've never been good. The Brad Smith was like the only time they ever did anything. I think the Brad Smith days. Shout out, he was pretty good. He was a pretty good NFL player as well. He was a wide receiver in the NFL, but yeah. So my only my counter argument, and I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
So, would you rather have a team with two superstars on it, or one that is just damn good but like has some role players and no actual stars?
In college football?
No, just like in general, like theorizing, hypothetically, like. So actually we can take it like the Lakers, they got AD, LeBron, and then a bunch of role players versus the Clippers, who got basically some great players. Like, don't get me wrong, Kawhi's great. Pandemic P is Pandemic P, and then they have a very good bench. They have a very good team. It's a probably overall better, more cohesive team, which I would compare to the Big Ten. That's if you can draw these parallels. Sure. Versus the SEC, which is, we're gonna say, the Lakers. Obviously, it's not a perfect comparison, guys. Please follow my line of thinking. Which would you rather have? Because I would rather have the. I'm going with the Lakers, bro. I'm sorry.
And in this case, maybe in this case, I'm gonna go with you because the reality is in college football, I've seen it time and time again. Think about it. Joe Burrow was the third string quarterback behind Dwayne Haskins. And then also my man, JT Barrett. And the reason being, sometimes you just need to out-talent teams. And when Ohio State football and other teams in the Big Ten, when they're not playing their best game, they just out-talent you. Like, I don't know how else to put that. They're not doing these fancy plays. They're not throwing the ball downfield. Ohio State, when we put up, 62 points in Team Up North, there was a bunch of just hitch routes to Paris Campbell, and he just out-talented them. It's weird. So in that sense, I'm gonna go with the two stars. There's something to be said about talent, right?
And full disclosure, guys, I am not a big college sports fan. So
we're gonna change that.
Yeah, I've never been interested. I live on the border of Illinois and Missouri, so for that reason, I have people, Illini, they're great, whatever. Oh, Mizzou, they're great. And in reality, they both are garbage. They've always been garbage. Illini had one good Final Four run. Back in like the early 2000s. That was pretty cool. Duran, who was it? Duran. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But no, I don't know much about college football, college sports in general. I like the pro game. I know that you disagree with that, but in terms of football at least. But it's interesting. I don't know. I think SEC definitely is they got the money for sure. They get the attention. That's the main thing, right? Attention is power.
Attention is power, and I think
they got the dollary dues.
Bama alone, right? I mean,
Bama. I don't even.
Coming from a Buckeye fan, I think Bama over the past decade has been the most dominant team, and all of a sudden you just look at dominance and you look at who's consistently in the college football playoffs, and when you see Bama, it's easy to say, oh well, the SEC is a more dominant conference, because like I said, aside from Ohio State, you don't have many teams who are phenomenal other than that.
Yeah. I just want to kind of, a little light trolling here at the end of the episode. Thanks for coming on, guys. If you are not subscribed, what's that?
No, I was just saying, appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So if you want to tell everybody where you're from, or where they can reach you, where they can check you out on social media and everything.
For sure. Yeah, guys. So as it says on the screen there, Red Cape Sports. Check out our YouTube channel. LessAlex has been an OG from day one. Got to appreciate him. Also hit me up on Twitter. I regret it back in the day, so I basically deleted my Twitter account for school, started a new one, so I'm starting from scratch.
Rookie mistake.
It's at bird_Bouchard. It was a rookie mistake, but at least I got an A+ in that class.
There you go.
It was kind of worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody, make sure to go, like he said, go subscribe to him. It's an awesome channel. They bringing out the content, pumping out the content.
Look at that! Just got a follower.
Boom! There we go. Hey, that's
appreciate
it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I call my viewers. I should probably come up with like a thing. But anyways, I appreciate everybody for hanging out. If you're listening to this on the podcast app, thank you for hanging out with me. Make sure 5-star review, nothing less. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at LessAlex. We can talk more. Feel free to DM me if you have any questions. I'll try and field them. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm definitely no guru, but I definitely like talking with the people. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, make sure to smash that like button. If you're in the live feed right now, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. I'm coming out with content basically every single day here on the channel, excluding, I think, Monday and Saturdays, I think, are the days I'm not going for it. But I appreciate everybody. Check out the Discord. There's a Discord link in the description, and there is a Patreon in the Discord. If you guys enjoy my content, you want to help support it, you want to help further, I just got new lights thanks to Patreon. I got a new setup where obviously my image is more crisp. I'm not using the old Logitech C299 anymore. I'm using my actual camera because Patreon money is awesome. I appreciate every one of my patrons. You are all amazing. I love you all. And until next time, keep cracking packs, keep collecting. I will see you all in the next one.